on to another segment of 120 Seconds. As always, I am Stockwell. Just got home last night from Louisville at Hollow Bleed 5, where I conducted the following interviews. I'm just going to post them in the order in which I did them. So my many thanks to Buckshot for allowing me to come and host the stage, which is really fun for me. And that's 2 Hollow Bleeds in a row where I've been able to announce, people to the stage that I was listening to growing up. It's an amazing experience for me, and I thank him for that. And I thank everyone who stopped me, again, about my Fagel Lover stuff or about the stage hosting stuff. It means a lot. The smallest little comments mean a whole lot to me. So my thanks to anyone who said what's up or stopped me or had a chat. I'm always down for that. As a reminder, I will be in St. Louis for Hallowicked on the 27th. And then the 29th and 30th, I'll be in Detroit for the House Crazy Show and the Twisted Show. So I hope to see some of you out there. As always, please feel free to stop me, say what's up. This first interview is with somebody who I met him a couple times, but we had never spoke before at any real length before the show, before Hallowicked, Hollow Bleed. So here is my on stage before the show interview with someone who I consider to be an absolute legend, Twisted Insane. So check it out. As always, leave your comments below. But know what? I'm not reading them anymore. Shout out to Scotty D for that. He taught me an important lesson. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking these out. Got more interviews coming very soon. Thanks. All right, welcome back everybody to another segment of 120 Seconds. As always, I'm Stockwell. I'm here at Buckshot's Hollow Bleed down here in Louisville with Wicked Underground legend Twisted Insane. So normally speaking, my segment's called 120 Seconds. And
right.
I look like Matt Pinfield. I try to be 120 minutes. That's my little take. But a lot of times I'm talking to people nobody's ever heard of. And that's not you. So I'm not going to make you explain yourself in 120 minutes, 120 seconds. So we'll skip that part. But I do want to take it way back to when I first heard you. And I'm talking probably 2001.
Okay.
I got like a link, horrorcore.com, to your first album, which may not be your first album that I'm aware of, which is Brain Matter.
Right.
So, it was in my rotation for a couple of years, and I would say overall that album it's a little bit rough, and even at that time, some of those beats sounded a little bit dated.
Yeah.
But it was like the start, right? Like the seed for what you eventually turned into. Because fast forward to kind of 2007, and then that's when I heard Shot to the Face. What is it? Shoot for the Face, right?
For the Face,
yep.
Right.
And then what's the Monster in the Dark?
Mm-hmm.
So that was that first album, like where you had started, and this was like the perfection, or at least the beginning of the perfection of that sound. So I kind of didn't know who you were, or where you went from, let's say 01 to 06, 07. What were you doing kind of over that time to maybe make that leap that I feel you did? And you can disagree, but that's kind of what I think.
Okay. Well, in that time I was maybe homeless.
Okay.
In the street, gang banging, doing shit like that. Just the streets was because the money wasn't, or the music wasn't providing
music money, right.
So I was doing other shit to get money, and life was just like that. I was one of the motherfuckers who used to walk around and I had like 10, 15 cents in my pocket. It was just like that. So during them times, I was kind of moving around, trying to find out what I was going to be doing, trying to find out how I was going to eat. It was a time when I didn't, because I used to record in the house, right? But then all that shit kind of disappeared because I was gone. I couldn't record. I didn't have a house to even record in. So no music was being made, and I was just on some other shit. You know what I mean? To be honest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that leap that you made was just for real, just the progress of time and kind of the things that happened to you.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. In those early days, I kind of said that you were maybe like a Brother Lynch meets Bone, or a Gangsta Nip meets Twista. That was kind of in my, when I first heard you.
Right.
Would you agree with that assessment, first of all? And then second of all, if not, even if so, like who were those early influences?
Everybody, everything. I used to listen to shit that wasn't technically. I would listen to Black Sabbath and shit that people wouldn't think I would listen to, right? So I used to get pieces from here and pieces from there and try to mix it all into this pot and create who I was and who I am, you know, and that's what I was doing. That it was listening to everything, all type of shit around me, and trying to put it into music. You know what I mean? And this is who it made.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
all right. So it's fair to say that you're a chopper. You release with a chopper style,
Right.
but I make the argument that yours is way unique, even
Yeah,
though you're chopping. I still think it's its own thing, in
Kinda
my
different.
opinion.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. And it's also fair to say that you were kind of doing that right away with that Brain Matter album. Like not to the extent you certainly are now, but you were doing it. Was that something that kind of developed over time, or was that for real where you started? I mean, that's what you were doing.
Well, that Brain Matter, I was doing music way before that, but you might not know. But this,
I don't. Yeah,
watch this.
I get into it. Yeah.
So way back in the day, because Brain Matter, we actually made that. That was really like 2005. Before that, I remember I had an album. It was called Tales of My Mortuary. Then I had one copy of it on the CD back then when CDs were a thing. This is like 2000. Before that, I had an album with this record label. I forget. I don't even remember what that shit was called. But you know, I was just young. Before that, I was making music in my house. This was way back. This is like early mid 90s. I was making music in my house, rapping over everybody else's beats and shit like that.
Okay.
Though, just like it's bullshit, right? And when I started doing that, making music in my house, rapping over everybody's beats as a teenager, that's when I went across the street. There was this record label across the street. They had a studio, and I was like, "Oh, y'all got a studio over here, and let me record." And they was like, "Hey, we want to sign you, and we put out an album." They did that, and they put that album. I don't even remember what that shit was called, but I can figure it out. After that, oh no, that was called Tales of My Mortuary.
Okay.
Then after that, I was like, man, fuck this shit, because I was rapping over this dude's beats. The guy that was the record label shit, and his shit was like all right to me, but I was like, so I started making my own shit, and then I did an album called The Devil Made Me Do It. This was way back in the day, and then it went from that to, you know, I had moved, and then I was in this wild little transitional area. Then I did the Brain Matter.
So you're saying Brain Matter was like 05, 06?
Yes, Brain Matter was
okay. So what I have
Brain Matter was Brain Matter was more 04-ish.
Okay, I seem to remember it being earlier, but maybe my memory's
no. Brain Matter was like 04-ish.
Okay,
and 04-ish, 05, maybe beginning of 05, because at the same time I had made Shoot for the Face. It sounded, it was a different album that I had made. Shoot for the Face was a different album.
Okay,
it had like 18 songs. And then I was like, you know what? When I found out how to actually put an album out, I said, man, I'm going to do it like this. So I went and got some artwork done, and I made my actual first real CD. I said, I'm going to name it Shoot for the Face again. But I think I only took like 2 songs from that original Shoot for the Face.
Well, because you have like 2 and 2.5 of the Shoot for the Face as well, right?
Right.
Those were, that was even later.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I got 2 and 2.5. Those were later.
Yeah,
Those were way later.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm getting school here, y'all. So, man, because to me, the sound on Brain Matter versus like Shoot for the Face is like night and day. I mean, would you agree with that?
Well, they were made all at the same time.
That's so crazy.
They were made at the same time. So, you talking about the quality of the sound or the
period?
The sound?
Yeah, both.
Okay,
I think.
well,
yeah,
they were made at the same time. So, Shoot for the Face, we was just doing that shit in the house, or the Brain Matter. So, let's say it's your house.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm coming over there every day. We hanging out. We just recording songs, and then I put however many songs together on a CD. Was burning the CDs up every day, writing Brain Matter on the thing and selling them to $6 for people. But during that time, I was like, I'm gonna make my own shit, because Brain Matter really was my shit, but it was like me, and a couple of my relatives. So we was kind of like all together. We was 3 of us. We was just over there, but they was just over there on the song. They didn't even. They was like, "What are we doing?" I was over there constantly recording. I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm just gonna make my own shit. So I did the Shoot for the Face at the same time.
Okay.
And then when I found a real actual studio,
like a real studio with a real producer,
I went back in there.
Okay.
But the producer was all me. It was all me making all the beats. It was all my beats. It was all my shit, except for Brain Matter. The Brain Matter was some of the homies was making weird shit.
Okay,
so they was making shit on PlayStations. We was just rapping over anything.
Okay,
way back
all right.
then.
So that's
you listen to it, you can tell.
Well, also I was talking about the kind of the dated beats and stuff. Yeah, okay.
Rapping over anything.
Okay, so again, just to go back, when you were doing like the mixtape type shit on other people's beats, you were kind of chopping and doing the quick release stuff then too as well. Okay, so that's always been what you were doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a guy that got me into that. I tell it in all the interviews. His name was Chip Fu. He was in a group called the Fushnikins. It was the first person I ever heard rap like that ever.
Yeah.
And when I first heard it, I was like, "Who is this?" This was way back. I don't even remember what. It was 1990 or something.
Yeah.
So I always was following Chip Fu, and because his shit was, he was the first person that made me start writing shit down, trying to get what he said, trying to understand.
All
what
right.
he said
Yeah.
and
To
shit.
read it back. I got you.
So this was way back in the day. He's still going today. Shout out Chip Fu. You know what I mean? But I always,
Fushnikins was the What's Up Doc shit with Shaq. That was like, it was like 92, 93. Yeah. All right. So being that I am with Faygo Lovers and this is kind of the thing. It's always a weird question, but it's also something I'm always interested in when somebody who's big outside of, let's say, our scene and finds their way here.
Right.
So at what point did you kind of find out about, like, let's say ICP and Juggalos, and then how did that develop? Yeah.
Well, I'm from California.
Right.
We they really wasn't out there like that. Not in my scene, because I was from, we was gang banging in the streets.
Right.
And they called me Twitch. They called me Twisted. You know what I'm saying? I was Young Twisted. They put the Insane on my name after rapping in 10th grade one year. One time, this was way later. This is like 2000 and I don't know, early 2000, maybe 99, 2000, 2001.
Okay.
A group of people came in and they were like Twisted Insane, and I was like, yeah. Then they thought it was the Insane Clown ICP.
Okay.
And then I was like, I had never heard of them before.
Right,
to
right.
be honest, I was like, I don't know who that is, but they were in California. People
Uh-huh.
was talking. I was like, yeah, but that's the first time I had heard of them. And then like years later, they hit me up, or sometimes they'll be like, you would get people that think, are you Wuju? And I'm like, nah. But when you hear that like 2 or 3 times, you're like, who is this?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you start
Right.
looking at it,
Exactly.
you're like,
Right.
who is this? You start Googling and shit.
Right.
That's how I had found out about them. And then they hit me up one time, years later, man, told me to come out to do the gathering of the Juggalos.
Uh-huh.
And when I went out there and seen that shit, I was like, holy shit, right? 'Cause
Right.
that shit was like,
So did you come in blind, not really aware of what
Yeah.
that whole thing was?
Yeah.
That's so funny to me.
yeah. Like I came, that was like, I thought they was just like come to do the show.
Right,
And I was
right.
like, all right. And when I pulled up, I was like, holy shit, and I stayed for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the first time I met you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was the first one I had done, right? So I've been back a lot of times.
Yeah, no, right, yeah.
Yeah.
We were in Indiana, out in the middle of nowhere that one time during the day. It's hot as shit.
Yeah.
And then this year, you main stage. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love those guys, man. Them guys is cool, man. They solid.
Yeah. All right. Let's, again, I gotta group it all together. And
Yeah, it's all
I know, again, I always find it interesting, and I honestly think that they appreciate that, maybe even too. Like, if you didn't necessarily come up under their umbrella, but you're doing something similar,
Right.
they want to like
Yeah, man, I
explore
like
that.
Yeah,
So
I like
whether
that,
it's
man. I
Suicide
appreciate
Boys or right, we
Yeah.
keep going with
Yeah.
Brother Lynch, right? Like all
Yeah.
the people that kind of have done shit
Yeah.
in a similar vein, but not quite.
Right.
So right.
It's pretty tight, man. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's awesome. All right. So, and I did write this part down. So you just released Halfway Gone,
Right.
October 4th.
Right.
And I'm going to be dead honest. I have not given it enough spins
Okay.
to really kind of go over it. I do know Tech just recently, as in Tech 9,
Mhm.
just gave you a huge shout out on, I
Right.
believe, Instagram
Mhm.
about like kind of the mental health track,
Right.
or one of the mental health tracks, I should say. So I know you're getting a mad amount of love for it.
Yeah.
I always kind of ask what's next, but since you just dropped that, it's kind of a hard question to ask. But
Well, if you've seen on my Instagram,
okay,
we're a couple of weeks out from my next album, Napalm. I've come to a point, man, that I've seen. We live in a different time, right? And it's not back then anymore. We don't need to wait around before we drop albums anymore. I've seen that, like, oh, let's just wait around for this date, or let's wait till next year. When you can do it constantly, you know what I mean? And shout out to Don Tripp, because I've been watching this shit. But when you constantly can release every month, 2 months, and you just constantly can release, that's a good thing.
okay.
That's a good thing. But I got Napalm.
So you got another one dropping here in another
couple
few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So just coming off some of what people are calling your best shit ever, and you're just gonna follow it right back up with something new again.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I mean, I always leave it at the end for shout outs or whatever you plugs, whatever you want to do.
Shout out to you, man. You know what I mean? We got to give a shout out to this guy, man. He doesn't get enough credit. You know what I'm saying?
So I
He's
appreciate
doing
that.
his shit, man. He's out here. He hit me up. He took the time out of his day for me to come out here and do this, man. So if it wasn't for that, you know what I mean? So that's what I want to give my shout out to. I want to give my shout out to
I'm
you.
gonna go home and cry. And then Twisted Insane, I just had a conversation with him. Known his name for almost 20 years. We've shook hands 2 or 3 times prior to this, but this is the real first conversation he and I have ever had was today. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for a set here at Hollow Bleed later this evening. I'm gonna introduce him to the stage, which is also super fucking exciting for me. So I appreciate your time, man, very much. Twisted Insane. If you're unfamiliar, as always, I'll have links below.
If you're unfamiliar, get familiar.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Man.
You good with that?
They gonna love us for life.
Yeah, I don't go there.
Right.
I don't fuck with him anymore. I used to like him, but I don't fuck with him.